Welcome everyone back to another episode of Energy Unleashed. As Kim and I giggled through the intro, nice to see everyone again. Okay, we're just chatting about how weird the times are right now. So this particular episode, I would like to talk about something, Kim, that I get a lot, not just in client sessions, but in my personal life. I notice people saying, I don't know. I
Mm,
don't know. A lot. And I
mm.
think it's a really interesting concept that we can maybe just kind of unleash or tear apart a little bit. Like, why does somebody say, I don't know? And I cannot tell you how much of a knee-jerk reaction it is when even when I do body scanning, for example. So if someone listening to this has never done a client session, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll scan the body with them before they get onto the table for the work. And I like them to be participatory, especially if they're newer, so that they can actually tap into what it feels like. And it's so amazing to me that we'll say, like, okay, we're going to concentrate on your head and only your head, inside, outside, around. What does your head feel like? I don't know. Well, okay, but what does your head feel like? I don't know. And I'm like, wow. And I don't want to come across sounding judgmental right now, but I think it's a really interesting, dismissive yet non-ownership response. It's so weird to me because I don't say I don't know a whole lot because I guess I'm one of those people that wants to know, which
Yeah,
maybe isn't great either.
I kind of see the other. It's so funny that you say this because my youngest is very good at saying, I don't know. Where do you want to go for dinner? I don't know. What do you want to?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm like, oh my God.
yeah, just
It
pick.
just makes me crazy. But when you're talking about the body, I understand, especially because I was so disconnected with my body at points in my life because I purposely, subconsciously did that to not feel,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So when you're like saying, what does your head feel like? It's like that I don't have that connection to even understand what my head feels like, really. Like even the
Right.
physical part of it, you're kind of disconnected and you're not in tune to like how you feel, what it feels like when you feel good and what it feels like when you feel bad, you know. So I get that part of it because I have been in that numb state where
So take that same exact thing, and what is the common denominator between I don't know when I'm in that state of disconnect with my body and the common disconnect of I don't know where I want to eat or what movie I want to see? What is happening?
I think that you're well, for me, it would be um I'm just disconnected from everything. Just tell me where to go and where to be and what to do. I'm not
Right,
taking any ownership, is basically
right.
it, or accountability for myself in that.
So it's the basis of this is, in my opinion, again, and I always take what resonates here, but energetically speaking, when we have an immediate response and a real flat one, usually, by the way, meaning I don't know, it's because we're not connected. We're not in the moment. We're not in the body and we're not present. So whether we're not in the body to figure out what my head feels like because someone asks, or where I want to eat for dinner, or what I want to watch on TV, it is all the same thing as far as not being accountable and in the body.
Yeah,
So why do we think people are not accountable and in the body?
they
Now you're
don't.
supposed to say, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I keep going. I don't know.
And again, you just hit it. When we don't know, we get almost a little, and I love the word verklempt, a little verklempt in terms of, well, I don't want to say the wrong answer. I
Mhm.
don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to make the wrong decision. I can't figure out what I want on the menu. How can that be a wrong decision as much as it's just food choice, But we put a lot of added belief systems and or limitations on us when we use the word I don't know. And it's really interesting to me because it gets very almost like habitual to be
Yeah.
able to say I don't know. The people that say I don't know say it a lot
Yeah. I
in a
totally agree
lot
with
of
that.
different, right? In a lot
Right.
of different ways.
Yeah. And I kind
And
of think that too, depending on who, like I could see the influence on my youngest more because she had a stronger older sister and I was very strong. And so we made a lot of
mm,
decisions along the way. And I'm not so sure that she even had the opportunity to make some of those decisions sometimes where she just took the back seat. It's the easiest way.
wow, that's an
Instead
interesting
of
perspective.
creating conflict or trying to insert herself in places that she was like, it's not worth it for me to do that. I don't know.
And I think you just hit on a really big point. A lot of times when we say, I don't know, it's because we don't want to rock the boat. We
Hmm.
don't want to insert ourselves to being heard and seen and participatory.
Hmm.
And for anyone that's listening to this that does it themselves and or knows someone close to them, it's something to really consider with compassion in terms of why is it that you don't feel available to be seen and heard? What is the belief underneath that? Why are you not safer enough or worthy enough to be able to be seen and heard? And these always go deeper into those anchors that we talk about on almost everything we do, because that's the limitation process of the human. And it's really about scared and fear. I don't know is about, I don't want to put myself into a space and a place of moving forward,
Yeah.
right? But I'll let you drag me along
Yeah.
because you make the choice is
Yeah.
really interesting, because then I don't have to have accountability. And that's
It's
a big deal.
it's so interesting because it just came like I remember in my career, corporate career, that I was such a doer, do, that many of my job opportunities were actually pushed at me or almost forced on me. They weren't decisions that I was making, like, I want to be that position. It was more, all right, we need you here now, or we need you
Right.
to go here. And I remember sitting down with this manager that was really about self-development. And I had never really had anybody like that before as a leader. And so we're in our one-on-one and he goes, what's your career path for the next 3 years? And I'm like taking notes on stuff and I look up and I'm like, what? What's your career path for the next 3 years? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I haven't put any time into my self-development or, you know, thinking about what I really want. I was just in it, doing it, and it was happening as I
Mm-hmm.
do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't necessarily doing the right self-development to go into a leadership management or whatever. But I just remember that feeling of I don't know. I don't know. You know, that was
And the
just
feeling for that oftentimes is overwhelm,
mhm,
because it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And when we get to overwhelm, to me as a practitioner, that means that that person, in terms of the bigger picture of life itself, doesn't realize that they're actually making choices every day. So let's bring that back to you as the corporate. I wasn't feeling like I was making choices. I was just pushed and placed. I never had choice.
mhm,
But the reality is we always have choice. We have choice in every single thing we do. We chose what to wear. We chose to show up today. We chose everything, right? And so the person that's in overwhelm and I don't know is really feeling actually enslaved to, I don't have any choices. Therefore, why am I being forced to make a choice?
and I also didn't feel that I had a choice in what even in that career, what I was doing, because I knew I needed to provide for my family, and it wasn't like I'm like woke up one day and said, "I wanna be in the insurance industry and be a project management leader." Like,
Yay!
that wasn't passionate for me, you know, it was just, "Hey,
Right,
this is a great way to make money and to help provide for my family." Didn't
right,
matter what I really felt about it, which is another area that is part of what I've been going through for how many years now of, working on myself to really figure out what is my passion, what makes me happy, you know, and
right.
instead of just doing what I felt I had to do. Yeah.
And again, that comes down to that feeling of enough and safe, and I have the worth to be here, and I'm choosing and I'm co-creating and I'm doing all of these things. So the I don't know also is a way to bridge time, which doesn't really even exist. I don't
Mhm.
have to make that decision. I don't have to move forward. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm just going to kind of hang on this bridge of a this or a that, but I don't want to be responsible for it. So it's really interesting to me how it can become habitual though. And I think this is what the people that are doing this kind of repetitive pattern want to look at. Look at how many sandboxes I don't know jumps into. I don't know at work. I don't know in my health. I don't know if I want to pick something on the menu. I don't know if I want to leave at 4 or 7. It doesn't, none of that matters in the big picture, really, because it's just a choice. And so, what is it that is so difficult to be making the choice, but even more so, deeper, is accountable for choices?
Mhm.
That's part of it also. I think the fail factor comes in from upbringing, oh my God, if I make the wrong choice, then I'm not good enough, you know? So I think these are really interwoven into so many really flippant answers. I don't know. And
It's
what
true.
does that do? What does that do to the other person? So when your youngest says, I don't know, what does that do to you?
It's frustrating. Like, wait a minute, give opinion. Like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you feel good about doing in this? And yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And then you say, I don't know. I think
What?
it's really interesting because what it does is it mirrors and shoves the overwhelm onto the person that is asking, right?
Mhm.
If I say, what do you want on the menu to share? I don't know, you pick. Well, I always pick, why don't you pick? You know? And so it starts to become this little volleyball back and forth of ownership of picking and ownership of resentment and ownership of I always have to do it. And why don't you
Mhm.
do it? And why don't you care enough about what you want so that I can care, you know, and on and on and on. It's just, it's so misplaced energy that doesn't even really exist. It's insane. Isn't it
It
crazy
is.
and we're passing the frustration. We're passing the overwhelm when we're the one asking, what do you want to do? When do you want to leave?
Yeah, because then honestly, you don't enjoy it as much because there's no input from the other person. You know,
Right.
when you finally land on what you're going to do, because I made this decision where we're going to go eat, and then we're there, and it's like you just get kind of pissy. Like
Yeah.
it's not as much fun.
We did. This friend of mine and actually, she says, I don't know about tons of things, and we go out quite a bit. And it's like, where do you want to go? I don't know. You pick. I don't know. You pick. And so this time, the last time I did pick, and it turned out to be a very strange and odd choice. It was somewhere we had never been before. I always wondered about it. It was just this place that I've always been curious about. So we made our way up to it. We walked in, and we're like, holy crap. It was like, really weird vibe and this really weird, like I felt like we were in just another Hickville dimension of really strangeness. And you know, I'm looking around going, wow, this was a choice. And we laughed our asses off because I'm like, you let me pick. Yeah, I picked.
This is
And
what
so
you
in
get.
that case,
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what? Maybe you want to pick next time. And I think we actually can have some humor with it, but it does get irritating. It gets frustrating. But in that regard, it turned out so dang funny that I gave her crap all night long about, see, good choice, huh? And I mean, I didn't feel bad about my choice particularly, but it was just hysterical how it turned out to be such a, where are we?
But
What did we choose? Right? Alternate
yeah,
reality of weirdness, you
yeah.
know? So,
Well, that's
anyway,
fun.
I think that we can dovetail this whole conversation into right now. People are really frustrated, and we are, you know, coming, I don't even know how many days out to, God forbid, an election, if it even happens. And sidebar. So yeah, I think a lot of people don't know right now. And I think that this I don't know frustration is even a bigger conversation right now of I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to pick. And I hear a lot of conversation on I'm picking the lesser of two evils, which makes my heart just go, wow, what? You know, have you heard people say that, by the way?
Yes, or there's ultimate hate for one or the other, and I would pick anything but. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's just such a strange time for not knowing. So in the context of picking a one single human to so-called run our country, which we all know is a joke anyway, because one
Mhm.
single human doesn't run anything in our country, really. I think it's so interesting that we're putting so much angst and anger and frustration and confusion into that I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know who to pick. I don't know what to do. And God forbid if I walk away from not voting at all because I truly don't feel about that, then I have the guilt of not being a good American and on and on. And then if the person really gets in, that's a bad, it was my fault, like your single vote mattered, you know, and all these things are so crazy right now with I don't know. And I think one of the things that I'm finding as I progress through life itself and spiritual journey, if you want to tag that on, you don't have to know everything. In fact, you're never going to know everything. In
No.
fact, most of the things we think we know, we really don't know anyway.
Mhm.
And I think what is very important is to feel good in the moment of your choice, whether you're picking something on the menu because the other person doesn't care, or if you're picking someone to so called run your country. I think it's really critical for you to just do in the moment what aligns to you and feel good about your so-called due diligence. Have I felt like I have looked into this enough, or do I really feel I haven't looked into this enough, and therefore that's what owns my confusion, and on it goes. I think a lot of I don't know comes back to personal responsibility.
It absolutely does. I have a friend, and she's amazing, but she digs in. She'll hear something, it doesn't matter what media station, she'll dig in to look for the facts, and really understand what's happening. And I don't see a lot of people doing that right now. I think they take passing what they're hearing and just going with it. And it doesn't matter what party. I'm not talking about certain parties or anything like that, but that it's our responsibility to look into, and you said due diligence is a very good way to put it, to do take a little time, and really think, because when you go through it, you're going to feel better about what your decision is if you know more of the facts. And
I
who do you
agree.
believe? I mean, these commercials and the stuff that they're playing right now, who do you believe?
No. Yeah.
I don't.
And I don't think we can believe most of anything that we're being told on media anyway. And I believe, here's my belief, and again, I always toss what doesn't resonate here. I really don't put too much worry into anything, because especially politically, it's 4 years. Chaos is going to ensue regardless of who's in that office. This thing that we're in right here is a breakdown of all of our belief systems and our creational reality as we know it. And for eons, and it is breaking down, period. And there is nothing about one person standing in an oval room that is going to change that in the bigger course. It will break down. Chaos will happen. Craziness is going to happen regardless, because it has to happen. And I think what is very important to know is not putting all the energy into, I don't know if that person gets in, what's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. That is so fear-based, and everything's going to happen regardless in the biggest picture. So what one wants to know, if they choose, is, what do I know? What do I know? And bring it back to, and this even goes for the first part of this conversation, bring it back to, what do I know? I know that I am safe. I know that regardless of this chaos, I'm doing my spiritual walk. I'm getting rid of as much fear as I can. I'm staying present in the moment. I'm choosing things that are ethical for me so that I don't carry guilt and shame and worry and wonder. These are the things where the homework is. So regardless, I don't know puts everything out here. And we want to turn everything back here so that we do feel some semblance of, not control, because that's a fake mechanism, but a command of one's being, so that I can be present with what I know. Even in the chaos, depending on, let's say, the worst of the worst candidates for you specifically got in, you still have a perspective that you're looking at that whole entire 4 years with, that comes from you and what you do know. So stop the I don't know and start the I do know. And I think that flips everything.
Yeah, I agree. The self-responsibility is very important in this time. And to also do some inner work to know, that's where That's where that's where your gut instinct, comes in. And to also not be so judgmental of the people who are making different decisions than you. It doesn't,
Exactly.
you don't need to be angry. You don't need to cut people out of your life and, do horrible things because they didn't do what you wanted to do because you're trying to control it. And that's where the behavior in some of this is just appalling to me. Like, wait,
And conversely, on the
wow.
other hand, if that has gotten to be such a toxic relationship because of the stupidity of it all, maybe sometimes walking away is the more beneficial answer. So even that has both sides of the coin. And there is no right or wrong for a blanket anything. This is why individuality is so critical, for us to know what we know. We know what we know because it is inside of us. And when we don't know that, then that's shame on us, not shame on everything and everyone else. And so it's really important for us to understand our lives can change in a blink of an eye. And regardless of who is in that White House, or who's picking the menu item, we're still going to have upheavals in our own person, meaning I could be sick tomorrow and dying of something. I can lose my partner, my friend, my child, my mother. I can all of a sudden have the most horrendous thing happen in the entire world. Those things rock our world in a matter of seconds, and we don't even think like that. So the work is not worrying about here. The work is here so that I have stability in my safe and knowing what I know within myself so that I can react in a neutral and or beneficial way to anything, whether it's outside of myself or in my inner circle. Those are the things that we want to concentrate on. How do I react in my inner self to my inner circle first and foremost, and then I get to worry about here. But this wonderful media that we have and all of this nefarious agenda of fear propaganda shoves us all the way out there across the football field so that we don't pay attention to this, so that this then go, I don't know.
Look at
then the media
this, and
says,
then over
this is
here.
what you don't know, so this is what you now should do. And then I go, okay. So this is the whole big full circle of this, right? The whole big full circle of this is please be smart enough to know what you know so that they can't program what you don't know.
Right. Right. Yeah, the programming part of it is just like just even understanding that that's part of what the media what the media is doing changes your whole perspective on everything. You know what I
And it
mean?
is always going to be there no matter who is in what office. It is not about that. This is not about the person. This is about breaking down the holographic, nefarious programs, period. So everything is going to be challenged from religion to finance to medicine to health to everything is going to be challenged in the next years because it has to be crumbling around us. And so really, decide what it is that you do know and hold fast with that with no fear attached. And that's the homework for right now, in my opinion. So really, I'm, watch what you don't know because you probably do know.
Well, okay, you say that's your homework right now. What would be some of the things as an individual who's just hearing this and not understanding maybe what they should focus on for themselves?
Well, it's fear, basically. I mean, fear propaganda is really, really reactive when one is full of fear because like finds like. So, what is it that you are giving away to the powers that be? When we're in a political campaign, 9 out of the 10 messages, if not 20 out of the 10 messages, are we're going to save you. We're going to fix this for you. We're going to make it be okay. And some of the people want it to be okay because I want it to be all the same. I want it to just be the same. I want you to take care of it and not make anything crazy. And other people want it all crazy because that's what makes me safe. And the reality is neither one of those makes you safe or not safe because that's how energy works. Energy is the same and then it changes and it goes chaotic and then it flattens out and it goes chaotic because that's how energy works. So regardless of who you think you're voting for political party and message wise, it's still the same thing. That's what's crazy. So find the flow and the balance and the anchor within yourself so that if you're the one that wants status quo and you can't stand chaos, if chaos comes into the office, know how to deal with that. And conversely, if you want chaos and status quo comes into the office, figure out how to work with that because that's how energy will always work. And it's not just in that arena, it's in our lives, period. We will always come up, go down. We will always do this. The goal is to not have mountains, peaks, and valleys. The goal is to ride the middle, right?
Right.
So
And the
find
more of
what's
us that ride the middle, the more balanced it'll be for everyone, right?
right, because who cares if it's chaos? Because after chaos is going to be rebirth. Who cares if it's boring? Because boring is going to ignite change. I mean, it's all the same stuff that happens in our own existence. Remember, we are all micro macro relationships to everything we exist in. And so this whole world of chaos is because we're in chaos. This whole world is because it's supposed to be dropping all of the illusions and the facades. That scares the crap out of people because people do not realize how much they love to be saved and taken care of and not rock the boat. It's the same thing as growing up with a family with an alcoholic dad and the mom is scared to death. It's all bullshit because the day that I step into my power and go, it doesn't matter how loud and crazy it is because I'm calm in here.
Right.
Therein lies the homework, whether it's in the household, whether it's in the arena of politics, religion, medicine, health, etc. It's all the same stuff.
You're right. And there's a lot of people going into survival mode right now, and when you go into survival mode, it's like,
Yep.
that puts a whole different spin on everything.
in survival mode, let's get our heads out of our you know what and really look at the bigger picture of survival mode. What does that mean? I want to be able to know that I'm safe on a planetary existence as first and foremost. And who gives me that message by the time I'm 6? Nobody, right? I mean, this is something that when it's instilled into us, meat, bone, and cells, to say you are safe regardless. Even if you're in this meat and bone thing, you're still safe, or not, you're still safe. And so until we get that messaging really penetrating through our whole container here, we're always giving safe away, right?
Yeah, right.
And we don't know if it's going to be safe or not. So stop giving your we don't know safe away and find your inner safe and say, I do know. I do know. I do know. So, and that eventually translates to picking something on the appetizer menu. And I'm not joking. I'm not
It's
joking.
true. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I love that micro macro stuff. Okay, well, like I said, it's going to be a crazy ride. And in the meantime, you know, I don't know who's going to win. And actually, I don't even care because, like I said, I'm doing my homework. I'm inside finding what I do know, and I will make steps accordingly and be accountable. And you can take that or not, you know, in your own world as advice or not, because it's really up to the individual. And collectively, obviously, we make the change or not. So
Yes, absolutely.
it's a lot, right?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Oh
Crazy times, Kimmy.
I don't know, Suzanne. I don't know.
I know. I don't know. All right, everybody. We do know that we love you for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Maybe hit the like and share button and give us a comment once in a while. So until next time, Cosmic Hugs.
Goodbye.